This tweet has been getting me into some trouble. Apparently, they're trying to ratio me a little bit. And I've been getting a lot of quote tweets for this one. It's super controversial. And I don't know why, because it's like, it literally says, I wonder if you guys are ready to know. And okay, you're not ready to know. Whatever then. You know? I said, I wonder if you're ready to know. I didn't try to convince you. I said, I wonder if you're ready to know. I don't think you are, though. You know? Even you, my chat, I don't think you're ready to know, right? But I said, I wonder if you guys are ready to know that we've already been living in socialism for a long time now, and that you only think otherwise because of a new left Gnostic heresy that personalized capitalism as a psychopathological vice instead of a mode of production. Now, Haas, what do you mean by that, Haas? What do you mean by that, Haas? What I mean is that there's literally a billion ways you can fucking look at it, but the socialist mode of production has more or less already prevailed over the capitalist one, worldwide. Now, what do you mean, Hans? What do you mean by that? What do I mean? Okay, I'll explain it. I know it's gonna be I mean, it's like, how do I do this for people who just haven't read Marx and Engels, right? I just have to, know where to start. Okay, so Marx and Engels were talking about this thing called socialism, right? And communism. And for them, the capitalist mode of production was transitioning into communism or socialism, right? To socialism, to a different mode of production. And for them, the class struggle was being waged as the manifestation of this transition. So there was a transformation going on in the forces of production, and the class struggle was how this transformation was working at their level of the relations of production. There was no voluntary struggle for socialism where the workers rose up together and guys, let's make a new system. No, the new system was already being born out of the old one. And the manifestation of that fact at the political and social and discursive level was the proletarian class struggle. So there was no struggle to create socialism. There was no struggle to make a new system. There was no struggle to impose a new society. That was already happening. And Marx and Engels actually talked about it, specifically in the form of the joint stock market and a bunch of other shit. Specifically, you read Capital Volume 3, you'll understand this, right? So that was in the 19th century. Finally, by the 1890s, Engels would say something like, look, now shit's about to get real. We're anticipating a big war is going to come, and this war is going to make the proletariat victorious, and it's going to be the death knell of capitalism. Capitalism is going to finally be done, right? Okay, World War I happens, and the October Revolution also happens, and what do you know? Europe is fundamentally transformed. The mass conscription of World War I led to an unprecedented level of socialization of the forces of production. Lenin remarked upon this process in his book. I know you guys might be familiar with it. Are you guys familiar with Lenin's book? Imperialism, the Highest Stage, the one you're always seeing on Twitter? Because you think Lenin's book is some kind of moral condemnation of imperialism. Well, maybe some of that is there. But in the main, it wasn't that. In the main, it was an analysis of what Lenin deemed to be a qualitatively new stage of capitalism, which he thought was going to be the last stage of capitalism, right? Lenin believed that imperialism was closer to socialism than the normal capitalism. For Lenin, imperialism corresponded to large-scale socialization, large-scale planning, and all this kind of shit. And he directly talked about it. Okay? Lenin dies in the mid-1920s. And 1929, the stock market and the global, or I should say world economy, the world capitalist economy, collapsed. There you go. The Great Depression literally destroyed capitalism, as Marx and Engels anticipated. They said it was coming. It came. 1929 was the year. So what happened after 1929? How did the economy recover? Well, the economy recovered, Haas. The economy recovered after 1929. What are you talking about? Uh-oh. What do you mean, the economy? You mean the vested political interest to ensure the production and distribution of goods can still operate smoothly? The very category of the economy is a political category. The economy recovered, yes, because it became the vested political interest of the ruling class through the mechanism of the state to ensure the normal production and distribution of goods can continue. So the ruling class was scared shitless. They're the lifeblood of what got them into power completely collapsed. So they used the state for political purposes in order so that there won't be a revolution that's going to come, or there won't be some kind of fucking, communist change, right? In order to start planning the economy and intervening in the economy in such a way so as to establish a social form of production. You think after 1929 that was just capitalism? You think that was just capitalism? Capitalism died, dude. The shit that came after that was political. That was political. It wasn't just like, capitalism is something called the anarchy of production. It's literally capitalism is when you have this anarchy of production, of this aggregation of competing enterprises and competing businesses and capitalists, and this coalesces and aggregates into some kind of market of some kind, right? That's capitalism. That collapsed in 1929. So after 1929, the economy's livelihood became a political concern of the state. So what is the socialist mode of production? What does it mean for there to be a socialist mode of production? Well, let me put it this way, right? You have to understand that within capitalism or modern capitalism, you're dealing with this hidden symbolic economy of titles, of property ownership, of money itself, which is a form of signification. It's a symbol, right? These suddenly take a social form in socialism. These signals that change the economy and produce the necessary signals or inputs into the process of production and distribution. When Austrians and neoclassical economists talk about the market as producing price signals, that is a category of central planning. Information is a question of central planning. It's not a question of a spontaneous market working itself out. It's a matter of something that's for economic planning.